Good morning. I hope you guys are not too hot. As you know, we've been talking about thermal energy, and today we're going to look at one way that thermal energy can be transferred. I hope you guys are ready. All right, so we're going to investigate a method of thermal energy transfer called convection. It's one of our TEKs. It's 6.9, so when you see that on your tracking sheet, you will be looking for 6.9a so that you can track on that TEK that we have covered it. All right, at the end of today's lesson, these are the things that you will be able to do. I will demonstrate my understanding of convection by defining, giving examples, drawing a diagram, and completing my exit ticket. So there will be three things that you will be responsible for at the end of the day. You will be filling in your definition page, continuing in that process. You will be creating your own diagram, and you will be completing the exit ticket to show your understanding. All right, so let's get ready. First of all, what is convection? So I want you to take just a second to look at the picture, and I want you to see what you notice. All right, so we are going to be talking about heat energy, of course, and how heat energy can be transferred. So you can kind of see some arrows in the diagram. You can see that the red arrow that is representing the warm or the hot molecules is going upward. So if you'll take a look at those three cycles that you see or currents that you see, you will see the red arrows always moving upward. Okay, I know that some of you have probably heard that heat rises, and it is true, heat does rise. All right, so if heat rises, then the cool molecules are going to sink. So take a look at that diagram and notice the blue arrows are always moving downward in a sinking motion. Okay, so let's talk about why that happens. As you know, we've talked about what density means. So does anyone remember what density is? Great, I see a lot of hands. That's awesome. All right, so if you remember, dense things tend to sink because they have a heavier feel to them. The molecules are packed. Less dense things tend to float because they have more space between the molecules and they seem lighter. So that's the same thing that's going to be happening when we add heat to water molecules. All right, so heated molecules are going to cause a density change. So as you add heat, like the sunny ground would heat the air, the molecules are going to move around so much that sometimes they even are going to either jump out of their container or just rapidly start escaping. Okay, they move further apart so that, of course, when the molecules are further apart, they are less dense. And remember, less dense things rise. Exactly right. Thank you. All right. As they cool off, as they get away from the heat source and cool off, the molecules slow down. They kind of get chilled a little and they don't move as much and they move closer together. They don't take up as much space. And so they get heavier or more dense and they sink. So when these two are occurring at the same time, when you have a mixture of a hot and a cold material like air would be, or a heat source that's causing, you have a cycle that goes around, and that cycle is called a convection current. Okay, now notice the red rising. As soon as it cools off, it changes to blue and it sinks. And that is exactly how a convection current works. Okay, let me show you this one because you can see on this one that there are two different convection currents, all right? Both of them have the red rising, just in a different direction. The blue is sinking and coming back down, getting reheated, and it just is a cycle that continues on and on. All right, so if we take a look at convection in the air, now air is movable, so you can do like this and you can feel the air moving, right? So air is very fluid. Fluid means that it can move, that things can move through it pretty easily, that you can move the air. Now, another fluid that we'll be talking about, of course, is the liquids. Liquids can move also. So convection in the air happens all the time. So we have heaters that blow heat through the air. We have ceiling fans that blow. We have heat that is caused from these convection currents. Now, when we get to weather, this is going to become very important. So far we know that one example of convection would be, or a convection current would be wind or the causes of wind. All right, now let's keep looking. Let's continue our investigation here. Now, another example would be how a hot air balloon works. The hot gases and liquids are going to be less dense. So when you put or turn the flame on underneath and heat that air, the air is going to rise and it's going to pick that balloon up and it's going to cause that hot air balloon to float. Okay, let's take a look at convection like in a pot on the stove. So it looks very much like the diagram we looked at earlier. As the hot soup is heated, it's going to rise. It's going to get closer to the air at the top, which is cooler than the flame at the bottom, and it's going to cool off. And as it cools off, it's going to sink because of the density change, and it's going to have a continuous cycling or current going on in your cooked soup. All right, another example of a convection current in a fluid or a liquid is the ocean currents. It's hotter, so it's rising, and then it's going to cool off and sink, and then it's going to have the same current or convection current going on, like opposite of like your soup on the stove. All right, another example of where convection affects us is inside the earth. So inside the Earth's surface, we know the magma, we've talked about magma before. We know the magma can be fluid because it's melted rock. So it is like peanut buttery, fluidy, thick, melted rock. Okay, so the hot magma is going to be pushed up towards the surface, Earth, and those convection currents are so strong that they have a force that can move the tectonic plates around, which causes our continental drift, also causing us to have earthquakes and volcanoes. Okay, we'll take a look at that in just a second. I want to show you. All right, so pretty amazing when you think about how a convection current can cause that much movement in something as strong as our plate's crust. Our Earth's crust. All right, so convection can also influence our weather and bring us extreme weather. So tornadoes and hurricanes and thunderstorms are caused from that warm airflow meeting with the colder air masses. And so we can get different types of weather systems and pressure changes because of that convection current. All right, now I promised you one of those things that you were going to show me today is that you understand how a convection current works. So you have the tools available to you right here on your screen. And then you just submit it when you're finished and it will come straight to me. All right, please remember this. Just remember that when you create your own diagram, to title it. Okay, now your drawing is going to be neat. It does not have to be of liquid convection current. It could be a convection current. So you're going to have your labels of your more important concepts. You're going to have your description or your details. You're not writing everything you're drawing. Remember, should take up the most space. Okay, so that's one of the 3 things that you're going to be doing for me. Okay, the second thing that you're going to be doing for me is continuing in your vocabulary folder. All right, so that is the second thing that you're going to be working on for me. The last thing that you're going to be doing for me, and if you need to look over some of the information, I included a page that kind of is a synopsis of everything that we've been kind of talking about today. So definitely reread that. And then your exit ticket is attached at the end that you will need to complete. Okay. I also included today 2 different videos that show you at-home lab that you can do now that you have your information and your assignment. I'd like you to get started on it. Remember that I will be available to help you if you need help. I will be here for the next 15 minutes, just here specifically to help you. I will also be available for our small group time that we have had that's posted on your agenda. Okay, so you've got 3 things. You have 1, do your diagram, 2, do your vocabulary, and 3, finish your exit ticket. All right, I will see you guys later. Remember, if you need help, I'll be here. If you want to exit, go ahead and exit. Thank you. Normally would use my screen tools, but they were not working effectively with my camera. I could only use the camera or the screen tool, not both. But I would have written some on the slides to show you, or to show the students how the arrows work instead of just using my pointer. I will definitely have some students that need just a little extra push that will probably be on with me for one-on-one sessions or in small groups. I did include those labs so that students that need that extra little bit to do or more investigating can do that. I will probably do those labs with my students at a later date, like tomorrow, starting off the lesson. I might start with a demonstration of both of those labs and let them walk me through how convection works and what a convection current is. All right, I included the reading at the end so that they could go back through it. They also have the reading in their own textbook, so they could go at it from a different angle if they needed to reread it. On using the Nearpod, also has the ability for the audio text where they could click that button and have it read to them if they needed that extra support. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.